Again to another short video courtesy of investingsuccess.ca. Today is the 12th of November 2024. As I intimated in a previous video, we like to tell time using, wristwatch, calendar on the wall, smartphone. Back in his day, W.D. Gann may very well have had a wristwatch, but when it came to stock charts and his in trading and investing, he preferred to tell time by the movement of the planets. Now, in the previous video, I showed you things like Jupiter, Saturn. I took a look at Venus, Saturn, Mars, Saturn. There's one particular one that W.D. Gann used a lot, and that was just the planet Venus. So heliocentric Venus travels around the sun in 225 days. What W.D. Gann apparently did back in his day, and I don't know how he came up with this, he said we have to watch those times, those days, when Venus passes 2 degrees of Aries, 17 of Taurus, 2 of Cancer, 17 of Leo, 2 of Libra, 17 of Scorpio, 2 of Capricorn, and 17 of Aquarius. Now, you're going to see a series of charts here, and what I've done to avoid annotating these zodiac sign names onto the chart, I've simply used digits. So 2 of Aries is, of course, 2 degrees. 17 of Taurus is 47 degrees. 2 of Cancer is 92 degrees. 17 of Leo is 137 degrees, and so on. So if you're watching this video, write these numbers down. And you're going to need a heliocentric ephemeris, or you're going to need some manner of software that allows you to overlay heliocentric intervals of time, particularly of Venus, onto a chart. Now, I'm going to start my little study here just prior to the lows of October 2022, the end of the Shemitah year. And you can see that just prior to those lows in October of 22, we had Venus passing 2 degrees of Libra, 182 degrees. And look what happened. There was a counter trend rally that took, 1, 2, 3 days, 4 days to unfold, but it failed. And that led us then into the actual October lows. And then the markets rallied from those lows and had a little pullback. But again, notice where the pullback ended. Venus, 227 degrees. Markets then rallied, reached an interim top before having a little pullback. Where did that happen? 272 degrees. Markets eventually pulled back, consolidated, chopped around, and where did they start to move again? Venus, 317 degrees. Just a few days after Venus passed 2 degrees of Aries in early February of 2023, the markets reached a top and had a drawdown thereafter. And notice, you'll notice this quite often when you're using planets to time or to discern the markets. Sometimes when markets are in a strong uptrend or a strong downtrend, one of these time intervals will come and go with no effect. That's because human emotion was so decidedly negative or so decidedly positive that we were just in a tizzy, and the planets could not influence our emotion to change the trend on the market. Markets made a turning point in March of 2023, started to rally. There was a little bit of a consolidation at 2 degrees of Cancer, Venus 92 degrees, and that occurred in March of 23. Now, looking beyond that, markets rallied into April of 23, and look at what happened. Another Venus interval in April, and that marked the end of the rally and the beginning of a sideways consolidation period. Markets attempted to break out of that consolidation period at 2 degrees of Libra, 182 degrees, and that was in May of 23. Markets, retested their effort before getting going again. And look where that little rally ran out of steam. June of 2023, Venus at 227 degrees. Venus at 272 degrees came very close then to certainly the highs in July of 23. And then the market started to decline. And again, emotion was so decidedly negative that didn't cause any effect at all. Markets just kept selling lower, lower, lower. So that took us then to the end of August in 2023. Looking beyond that, Venus at 47 degrees or 17 of Taurus in October of 2023 came, literally, let's call it 2 days after a low. And markets in November of 2023, after 5-day rally, took a little pause. Where did it start to pause? Venus at 2 degrees of Cancer. Another pause, consolidation, Venus at 137 degrees, and then it put on another advance into late December of 2023. And reached a bit of a topping point at 2 degrees of Libra in late December. Markets then declined for a bit, started to rally. Sentiment was so decidedly positive through January of 24. The markets blew right through another Venus interval. And look what happened in February of 2024, right at a significant push higher. That was Venus 272, 2 degrees of Capricorn. And look at what happened in March of 2024, Venus at 17 degrees of Aquarius. That marked an obvious topping formation, interim top on the S&P 500. Markets from that interim top declined, and look where the bottom came in. The end of the sell-off was at Venus 2 degrees of Aries. Markets then rallied into May of 2024 before reaching some kind of an interim top again at the next Venus interval. From that topping formation in May of 2024, markets declined a bit, started to rally with gusto. 2 degrees of Cancer came and went. Positive sentiment just blew right through that one. But look what happened. Venus 137 degrees, that marks a top. And from there, markets started to decline, decidedly so, into early August. And literally, 3 days prior to Venus passing 2 degrees of Libra, you had your bottom, and the market started to climb again. Reached a bit of a top before declining. Venus at 227 degrees in September marks a turning point. And then the markets rallied. We had a pause in October. Venus at 272 degrees. And early November, we had another consolidation, Venus at 17 degrees of Aquarius. And from that, we had an explosive move to the upside on the news that the Republicans had effectively orchestrated a clean sweep, White House, popular vote, Congress, and Senate. Now, what's coming ahead here? Well, Venus is going to pass 2 degrees of Aries on November 30th. And as I've been suggesting, the markets, I think, are priced for perfection, perhaps a little overvalued. So could we see something on November 30th? Perhaps we could. Keep your eye on that. Beyond that, you're going to have another Venus interval on December 28th. Beyond that, January 25th, February 21st, and March 22nd. In the previous video, when looking at some of the other planetary timing mechanisms, I noted that there are a number of dates in March of 2025 that could give us some trend turning point. Well, here's another one, March 22nd. So I think W.D. Gann may have been definitely onto something. Now, how exactly he arrived at using heliocentric Venus and starting at 2 of Aries and looking at 45-degree increments thereafter, I have no idea. But however he did it, wherever he found it, it certainly works. And I encourage you to use this Venus technique then when you're looking at certainly the S&P 500. I have to go and take a look at it in terms of the NASDAQ, and I also have to look at it then in terms of individual commodities and some individual stocks. But that is going to be the subject then for a future video in the coming days. And for those of you that have been following this YouTube channel, you have obviously taken note of my conspicuous absence. I've been called in to do some consulting for local municipal government where I live in Western Canada. And basically I've been called in as a hitman and a troubleshooter to clean up some governance mess and some administrative mess. And I have certainly done that, and it's coming to an end, and I'm starting to get back doing more regular videos. And thank you for your patience during my absence. I really appreciate it. And so you can find me, as always, on investingsuccess.ca. The 2025 Almanac is formatted. It's done, and I have to take one final look through the manuscript before I upload it to Amazon, and I should have it on Amazon by late November. When you're on my website, you can, of course, find me producing still the astrology letter. You can also find me on Substack under the handle Planetary Trader. So keep your eye on the cosmos, keep your eye on Venus, in particular heliocentric Venus, and then using that starting point of 2 of Aries, watch for the 45-degree increments of Venus thereafter, and use that as a timing mechanism. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you kindly for watching. Talk to you soon.